What is good, PFL Nation? Happy Tuesday night. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is episode 3 of the In the Booth podcast. As always, it's your boy, John Smith. I'm here with Austin Briley. Say what's up, Austin.
What is up, everybody? How's
And
it going? Happy Father's Day.
happy Father's Day. Absolutely. We are recording this on a Sunday. So, of course, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And on this episode, we have a super special guest. It is the man himself. It's Jay Pickens. Say what's up, everybody.
What's going on? It's J Pick, Big Four.
Man, we are super happy to have you here, man. It's going to be a lot to talk about. I've promised everyone that I won't be too crazy when we get to the USC Notre Dame game. So, we'll try to keep it light. But we got a little bit to cover before we get there. So, without further ado, let's hop right in and start going over that first game of the week, which was pretty much everybody's game of the week, which is Bama versus Miami. AB, I'm going to let you lead this one off. How did you feel about this game? How do you feel about the low-scoring results? And was there anyone in particular that kind of stood out for you?
So this one in particular got me because this is what I was afraid of. Y'all know that I wasn't necessarily sold on Bama. I think I am now. This was the game that was going to kind of throw them off the rocker if there was a rocker to be thrown off of, and it just didn't happen that way. Carson did his thing, Swavey did his thing in a way, and so Lyle had a big game, Watts had a big game. It's a big defensive game for Miami. And then Grady did his thing too.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, to me, I feel like this was, again, a big test for Bama after the past couple games they've been having, trying to continue to prove that they are the consensus number one team in the nation. We all know that Georgia's, creeping up on them with the quickness, so Bama has to continue to try to hold on to that spot. J-Pick, what about you, man? How'd you feel about this game? Are you surprised by the result, or did you expect Bama to walk away with the dub here?
I knew Bama was gonna do Miami. Like me personally, I'm not sold. I don't think Miami that nice to be real. Me personally, just I never been sold on the Miami team, so I felt like Alabama was gonna walk in and really. I feel like Alabama was gonna do the worst, but it was there.
Do you feel all right? I want to dive into that a bit. So you say you're not sold on Miami. Do you feel like they are straight up not a top 5 team, or do you feel like they're kind of on the cusp and like they belong in that discussion, or you feel like you're completely not sold on them?
I feel like they ain't. They just not. They not with people.
Yeah.
In Miami, they just not. They not hype for real. To be real.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. We getting spicy at the start of the pod. We had a bunch of that with AB in Utah last week, so I like that. J Pick, they're going to be coming for you now, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I don't care.
I know.
Did you hear me clapping?
Uh-huh.
I know what's going on.
Uh-huh.
I know what's going on.
All right, sweet.
I'm excited for this next one.
Uh-huh. As we moving on, that's why I kind of set this up. Game 2, of course, we had the Utes in Cincinnati. Cincinnati absolutely got cooked here. I don't think this is really a surprise to anyone. I'm not trying to discredit Cincinnati or say anything rude. I feel like we've brought them up basically every pod about kind of the situation they're in and what's going on there. So I'm not going to say anything too crazy. But, AB, I'm going to give you the floor to go ahead and say, is this the worst 5-2 team in the PFL, or how are we feeling here, man? Because, I like Utah. I like those boys. But we all know how you feel, so I want to hear your thoughts first.
So here's how this day plays out, right? I go to my interview because I'm doing all my interview stuff for my career path that I'm on right now. I come home, thunder's roaring, it's downpouring rain. I'm still hanging out just while my parents are on vacation. Come home, flip on the TV, and see the best Utah performance that I think I've seen so far. And this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. This is what I was talking about, because this team wasn't playing this way before. It was scattered, but they weren't playing this way before. Now that these books and the animations and the attributes and stuff are in effect, I think this team can compete. This is just what I wanted to see first, and I wasn't going to be sold until I saw consistency and development. And consistency and development is what we've seen in these last couple weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. You know, I'm on the Utah train. Obviously, they gave us the absolute cook last week, and they did the same to Cincinnati here. Not a huge test, as we all know, but I do think Utah is performing really well. J Pick, what about you, man? You know, obviously, this score wasn't really a surprise to anybody. So let's just talk about it. Do you think Utah is the real deal? I know we just talked about Miami. How do you feel about the Utes, man?
I like them. I'm cool with a lot of guys over there. I mean, the coach, that's my dog. You know. And okay, let's talk. I don't want to talk about Utah. What I want to talk about is Cincy. What I was talking about is why Cincy so bad? Why they so suck?
Every week, JPEG, I just said I don't want to do this again. Bro, I don't
Just
know, man.
leave.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there. I mean, we know they're in
Like
a rebuild, but this shit is crazy. 3 points? 3 points? What?
Well, like I said,
yeah.
they really did step up this week, and they really did show they got it. They were talking about their playbooks. Remember, I said last week if the
Yep.
playbooks really do get into effect, then I'm gonna have to give them their flowers, and that's exactly what happened. The only complaint I have about this
What
game for Utah is they didn't get Bo 100 yards.
Yeah.
what flowers?
Oh, for Utah,
Oh,
he's
to
just saying
Utah?
he
Oh,
gonna be nice to Utah.
okay, okay, okay,
But
okay.
I
I
mean,
like
so
you, so
I think AB's saying that he's giving Utah more positive than it is Cincinnati negative, as in it's just kind of Utah
Well, because
doing their
you
thing.
guys know how I feel
nah,
about Cincinnati. If they're
Yeah.
gonna be what they are, and the next year they're gonna be great, probably.
Ooh,
nah.
that's a bold.
Well, because remember, we're gonna have a whole new class of guys, and they're gonna have
Yeah,
nowhere to go
that's
except for
true.
one place.
That's true.
They still gonna suck. It's Cincy.
Well, they'll be better than this.
I hope so.
And they
I
coach not good.
only can only go up. So that's it. That's what we got for Cincy. Can only go up.
It was a good learning game for both of these teams.
It's a good way
Utah
for.
found their identity back again, and Cincinnati found that they
You
just
can't
need to
say no
keep
team
waiting.
found their identity against
Nah,
Cincy.
nah,
It's
nah.
it's it's, it's always gonna be you gonna get a hell of a game from the opposite team.
Yeah.
Nigga, guy, we put up like so many points, and you see what we do every
Yep.
week.
Yep.
So
Yeah. The
yeah,
Cincy
Cincy,
games are
Cincy not
always
a
Yeah, fair
test.
tough.
enough.
To really.
Cincy not a test.
Yeah, exactly. They're tough to digest because they just can't really perform. So it's hard to say, is this team real when their opponent
So
is
then,
Cincinnati.
should Utah have scored more than 27 points then?
No, I feel like they were
Yeah,
being nice, bro. To be honest, I feel like they were just kind of doing their thing, throwing it how they wanted. I mean, the offense was moving how it wanted. I'm not taking anything away from Utah in this game. I thought they performed
man.
well. So
Nobody plays serious against Cincy, man. We go out there, we lie the game. We play
right,
backyard football.
right. So all right, we're moving on to mine and J Pick's game. We're gonna, J Pick, I will let you talk right after me. Like I said, I promise we're gonna keep it civil. Everybody out there listening right now, I know there was a ton of heat after this game, but J Pick and I are cool, so it's good that he's on here. So it's not that bad, I promise. So let's talk about it a little bit. We got the big elephant in the room, of course, and that is Mr. Christian Ross with the 4 burgers. Obviously, I'm not going to even try to sugarcoat anything. That's obviously what made the difference in the game. 2 of them were returned for scores. That's a huge difference maker. Obviously, there's a 14-point difference. That's the biggest thing for me. That was my biggest takeaway. Obviously, I got to flex a little
Hey,
bit. Say your boy broke the century mark. I did get my 100 yards, which felt good. But overall, I do feel like this was just a USC defensive show. And J-Pick, I will let you talk. Remember, keep it toned down just a little bit. But I want to hear your thoughts on this one, man. Do you agree? Do you think it was just C. Ross kind of fumbling the bag, or do you have anything else for your thoughts on this one?
Let me pause my TV show. Hold on. So first and foremost, since we talking about Cross, this was absolutely ridiculous. But we talked over it as a team, and we gonna make some not no changes, but some adjustments to everything and let everything
Sure.
ride. I don't want to talk about Cross too much. That's gonna bar my blood pressure. But John Smith, you had a nice game. And my dog, let's talk about my dog Tyree.
Yep.
That's the number one. That's our number one receiver right now. My boy Tyree. My boy Tyree did his thing. He did, and that's just that. Head tops. He had 200 yards, and that's just that. And I'm snapping it at that. And anybody that got anything negative to say about Indy, come talk to me, bitch. That's that.
I'm good with that. AB, I will let you have your say too. And I do agree, J-Pick. I think TRP absolutely went crazy once again. So, again, we kind of know what happened with this one. But AB, what you got any parting thoughts on this game?
Oh, I called this game. This was a funny situation to watch. But you mentioned the interceptions being key. What's 30 minus 14?
Yeah, exactly. It's 16. That's what I'm saying. The two pick sixes were quite literally the difference in the points, which is crazy.
Caleb Williams, though, threw one of the most beautiful touchdown passes I think
did.
I've ever seen.
He did.
Perfectly across corner to the pylon to Trey, and so.
Yeah, and that that
But we
was.
can't talk a lot of heat on our defense though, because them boys was gassed. Because
Yeah, because they were just out
That's
there
how
too
I
much,
feel about
bro.
it too.
They were out there
That's
way
how
too
I feel
much.
about it too. I feel like, and that's why everyone gave him such a hard time. Ross really sold this game. The rest of the team looked good.
Yep.
It's just you can't do much without your quarterback, unfortunately, especially in sim leagues. And so unless the other quarterback is messing up, and obviously Caleb wasn't, and so defense is not an issue here.
No.
Those playbooks though look mighty nice.
Nope. Yep, I agree. I still think Notre Dame is way better than their record shows. I will say this to anybody, not just because Pick is on the pod.
I agree.
But
I say it every week.
Exactly. I think they are much better than their record shows. I've called a lot of your guys' games, as you know. So I expect a bounce back from you this week. And
I got one more thing to say.
Go ahead.
This. I had 3 drops. So y'all won't say that. It came up a lot,
Right.
chats. People be like, you dropped this, you got. It took me 6 weeks to, That's just that.
Yep.
That's all I'm gonna say.
No, man.
Exactly.
I
That's
feel
what
that.
I'm gonna emphasize too.
Yep. All right. We're moving on. Moving on past the drama-filled game, over to one that I'm just gonna give him his flowers right now. J Pick, we're gonna inflate his ego just a little bit, but AB, you probably had the perfect QB game right here. Literally 6 tutties, 444 yards, a perfect QB rating at 158. Absolute masterclass, man. You picked this Michigan team apart. Honestly, their offense was not bad. Numa did his thing as he always does week after week. They were able to put points on the board, but they obviously were not able to match what your offense was doing. Had a couple absolute bombs, that 97-yard touchdown. Like Oregon, you guys were basically able to just do everything you guys wanted to do. There really isn't much more to say on that offensive front, but I'll give you your 30 seconds bragging rights. How do you feel about the way this one went? How do you feel, about your team's current position? And basically just what you expect for the rest of this season out of Oregon.
I'm just really glad the team's moving well now. This was something where I was messing with the playbooks and stuff again. I changed a lot about my own personal self on this. And so I'm just really glad that I was able to do this for this team. I'm really glad Tamar was able to do what he did for this team and what Wade did for this team. Yeah, Michigan's tough. I like to make the joke of connecting my previous RFL career to this, and so going back to Michigan, we put up this crazy dub. But yeah, Michigan really has nothing. You guys got nothing to hold your heads on here. This is a phenomenal performance, other than the 2 picks from your quarterback. This is a great performance from your running back. Your receivers were getting high overall yards after the catch and just yardage period on very minimal amounts of catches. And so, yeah, we just had a good game. We're not invincible. This is not something necessarily that I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, well, I threw 6 touchdowns, we're going undefeated for the rest of the year, because I don't think that. But, yeah, we just had a good game, and I'm glad everything's in order.
Yeah, That sounds good. I will want to say, to give you guys just a little bit of addressment maybe for moving forward, you are going to want to watch that run game. Numa was able to basically do whatever he wanted. I mean, he did have 5.5 yards a carry, which is crazy. So that's definitely an area you're going to want to tighten up on, especially when you play against these run-focused teams. That's all I have for that one. J-Pick, of course, don't worry, I did not forget about you. What were your thoughts on this game? Or were you surprised by our boy Briley's performance? Or did you kind of think, okay, this is going to be his time to come out and go crazy?
I like Austin. I like Austin as a quarterback. I've been liking Austin even whenever he was doing his little bullshit. The little bullshit shit he was doing and everything. I liked it. I had to think about what I could say. That boy Wade, he was open a lot.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say about that. That was a good game by Oregon.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean he was toasting guys. I mean they could not cover him. 5 catches on 238 yards means that boy could not be stopped. Those go routes were all day.
Facts.
So that's big. I mean if you're Michigan, that's what you're looking at, right? You're thinking, okay, our secondary got absolutely torched. So how are we gonna fix that moving forward? Here's a pro
They knew
tip.
their secondary B.
Exactly. They got no. That's what I'm saying. They got to go in there and be like, we got to fix this because they're just getting absolutely torched.
As a receiver, we love those games.
Yeah, it's like I already know they're only lining up in cover 2, so let's go. All right, perfect. All right, let's move on to another one that honestly, I know we had our boy on here last week, but this is the result that I think Austin and I both pretty much expected to happen. I think Georgia is the consensus number 2. I still got to give Bama their credit. I do think Bama's still the best team in the nation until they lose. I think they deserve to hold on to that, but Georgia is really right behind them. We saw another masterclass of a performance from this entire team. They really just know how to keep the ball moving, and more importantly on the defensive side, obviously Tim Ricks went absolutely crazy, but their defense as a whole just knows, kind of how to read these quarterbacks and to shut these offenses down. So I'm going to switch it up, J-Pick. I'm going right back to you. How did you feel about this game? What do you think about Georgia, bro? How are we feeling?
Oh, yeah. So, look, this game right here, don't let that fool y'all, cuz Georgia, I love their defense. But let's put it like this. Tim Ricks not who he showed he was last game.
Yeah.
He's not that. And that's just not going to happen against us next week at all. It's just not. I promise you. And that's just all I got to say about him.
All right.
Them safeties nice. I love them safeties. And them other guys. But stop it. You line up Tim Ricks against come on, man. Stop it, bro. Don't do that to yourself.
Well, I think we know what matchup J Pick's gonna be most excited about in Week 8. Austin, what do you think about this one? Do you agree? Do you agree that Georgia's defense did show out kind of extra special this game, or do you feel like I do, where it was more just par for the course for the number 2 team in the nation?
The way Anderson talks about game planning and stuff, I wonder if he keeps changing playbooks and stuff like that. And so I think what happened this week is it might have just been a playbook change. I feel like if Dada comes out here and throws 3 touchdowns instead of 3 interceptions like he's been doing, then we have a different ball game here. It's like Jay said, it's not like this team blew this team out really.
Yep.
I know it doesn't look like it's a close game, and I guess by all qualifications wasn't, but yeah, like he said, I don't think Ricks does this every single week. I absolutely do not think that a single one of those boys is going to get even remotely close to locked by Tim Ricks. I don't. So yeah, Brooks has been doing his thing all season. He's a previous Heisman winner, and KJ's just kind of rolling through the trenches and rolling with the punches. And so LSU, this was not your game to win. We said that last week. I know, Anderson, you were telling us and telling me that you definitely were going to win this game most likely, but it just wasn't your guys' game to win. This is one of those games I feel like fit into my little predetermined who was going to win this week that kind of made this last week a little bit more predictable than the rest.
All right, perfect. let me go ahead and
Hey,
jump.
wait.
Oh, go
Before
ahead.
we go past that, my bad. Before
No,
we
you
go
good.
past
Go
that,
ahead.
if we beat Georgia this week, well, next week, well, this week
Yeah.
because
Yep.
the game's about to come on. If we beat Georgia this week, so what does that make them? Since they number 2 now, and we should be like second to last or last. What does that make them?
Well, last is Cincy. But
Yeah, last is Cincy. Oh no, we should be third to last because we better than LSU. Facts.
So I do think if y'all beat Georgia, I think it'll be really big for both of you as far as playoff implications and rankings are concerned. For those that don't know, we do have an 18 playoff this year. I don't know if that's been publicly announced or confirmed publicly, but I'm doing it on the pod. Boom, we doing it live. So there will be an 18 playoff this year. And losing to a low-ranked team at this stage is massive. I mean, you're right, JPig. You're not wrong to bring that up. That's, that'll be the conversation of the week next week. I can promise you that on this pod if y'all do manage to take that victory because as this season's going on, I'm sure all three of us are thinking it. Playoff implications, man. It's happening right now. And
I'm thinking about
if you high ranked, you got to be on your P's and Q's because what they call those in the NFL, right? They call those trap games, bro. You get into these games where they should be nice and easy and comfortable. Well, next thing you know, you've
That happened to
lost it.
us versus LSU.
Uh-huh. Next thing you know, you lose. So that's good, man. I think both of y'all will have a huge change in your rankings if you do manage to pull off that upset.
Well, look, just keep following your radar. Just know you see 4 flying across that screen.
Uh-huh.
That's the
Something
thing,
like that.
though. Is would it really be an upset, or is the only upsetting thing here Notre Dame's unfortunate record?
Yeah, it's the record. I mean, the record is killing ND because
Because Notre Dame overall is a better team than Georgia, I think.
yeah, I mean they're good, bro. They're good. I agree.
When Ross clicks, bro, he does things that KJ wouldn't dream of, and so
Yeah,
it's a toss up of the hat each week.
yeah. We'll
It's
have
just
to
Ross got to come and he got to complete.
right.
If he do that, what he did last week, if he even play remotely close to what he did last week, we lost.
Yep. Yeah, I mean
That
there's no
safety
way.
was crushing. Did you hear me calling that safety before it even happened?
Yep. Yeah, that was brutal.
It was tough.
So yeah, I mean I agree with you, fellas. Let's move on to our second to last game here. We had Ole Miss and Texas. Ole Miss finally bouncing off their loss streak, sliding into the W column with a 16-6 victory over Texas. I knew this had a lot of heat, specifically between LA and Tyon after this game. So I kind of want to address that with you guys as well, get your thoughts. It seems like every week we got quarterback drama here in the PFL. It never fails. So I'm going to go to you on this one first, AB. One, if you'd like to, of course, feel free to share your thoughts on this game. Personally, I felt like Ole Miss played how Ole Miss does, and their defense was spectacular. I'm always praising their defense. Their defense is what's going to win them games, and they came out and did that. I also do want to give credit to KC. I've been one of KC's biggest critics as far as his lack of performing when Ole Miss does get him the ball. But he went absolutely out there and did what he needed to do, racking up almost 400 yards. So those are my thoughts on this game. AB, I want to hear yours. And more importantly, how are we feeling about LA? 2 weeks ago, he throws 5 picks. Last week, he has a great bounce back. He does what he needs to do. He's calm and collected in the pocket. This week, he was forcing a lot, and it just wasn't there. You know what I mean? 16 to 28. That's a lot of incompletions. So, AB, let me get your thoughts, and then we'll jump to J Pick right after.
So I can't really, I know I do every week, but I can't really speak on Texas because Texas shellacked us and bent us over backwards. But the thing that I think is kind of notable about this game is Casey comes out with his very first game with the superstar, and while he throws almost 400 yards, does not throw a single touchdown.
Yep. Yep.
So from what I understand, Deuce had the one touchdown. The rest of these were field goals. So at least they figured out their kicking problem. That's a huge, huge, huge thing. I'm not sure that we've done that yet. So flowers to Ole Miss for figuring out how to get your domer to start doming. But this game was just, yeah, it was defensive.
Yep. Do you
Defensive and offensive.
Do you feel like it's wrong to have this much weight put on LA's shoulders out of this game, or do you feel like it's fair for Tyon in Texas to look at him and say that we need better performances out of our freshman starter?
Okay, I think if we're gonna do this to Ross, we need to do it to Anderson. The only difference between Ross and Anderson is Anderson's active maybe about half a day more a week than Ross is. So that being said, I do think it's appropriate that we kind of go through the motions with him also and with Texas also, and we side with Coach Nickerson because it's frustrating.
Yeah.
If you have the same playbook out there and you come out and you throw 5 touchdowns against Oregon, how do you come out here and lose to a team that blew the entire game against Oregon?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I understand like why coach is having those thoughts, and
This
it's
game
just
is
the
closer than it looks,
consistency.
though.
It is, but it's just having that consistency to be able to come out and perform week after week. We keep talking about it with Cross. It's the same thing here, like you said with LA. We've talked about it with KC. We've talked about it with all these guys. If you're the QB, you're the guy. It's about having consistent week to week performances. J Pick, what are your thoughts, man? Of course, one, how do you feel about this game? But two, what do you think about the whole LA situation? Do you think it's fair, the amount of weight that's been put on him? Or do you feel like Texas has to keep, letting it ride and see if they can make changes to fit his play style better?
That's what I'm gonna say. You know me. I don't like the Texas. I don't like no Texas. Don't like Texas. So I'm happy they lost. I was jumping up and down. I was running around the house. I was so excited they lost. And I'm even happier that they lost to Ole Miss because you lost to Ole Miss. So therefore, and Lamar Anderson said, I feel like they should do like they've been telling us. Ride it out. Y'all told us Cross wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, that is what's being said is, hey, you got to trust your QB. Listen, we said the same thing last week when there was all that PS3 drama. They got to trust their QB. Of course, Miami did go out and lose again. But if the general consensus is you got to ride who you're going with, who your starter is, then I mean, I'm with you. I feel like
I'm a
it's
perfect
important.
example of that.
Yeah.
How many, the Oregon had to go through 11 interceptions before they had a 6 touchdown game with me.
Right. I mean, you make adjustments.
I was tied
right?
at 11-11. So, in all essence, if you want to get technical with overall good performance, I hadn't even thrown a touchdown.
Right. So, I'm with you guys. I do feel like, yeah, we want to hold everybody to the same accountability level, but we also want to make sure we're holding that same standard of, hey, if you're going to tell one guy and one team, hey, coach, you should make adjustments, you should ride it out, then we got to make sure we're keeping that same energy no matter who the quarterback is. So.
And Carlos Thompson sucked. Simple and plain.
And with that, we are moving on to the last game. As you guys can see, this is a very different graphic. I actually pulled this straight from the video. We don't have the result graphic yet. We are recording this Sunday night. Zeke is busy on dad duty, so we do just have to pull from the scores directly, which this kind of tells the story. This wasn't the most exciting game in the world. As we saw, Florida State basically did whatever they wanted against UCLA. UCLA has had a couple of decent games here and there, but overall, in my opinion, has been disappointing. Not just saying that because they're, my rivals out in California, but I think overall, everybody kind of had different expectations for UCLA, and I'm sure they have high expectations for themselves. But J-Pick, I'm going to bounce this right back to you. How did you feel about this game? Do you feel like FSU, man, they're defending champs, they're riding these win streaks, they're doing their thing? Or do you feel like it's not a good judge because UCLA hasn't been performing as of late?
I can't say that. Honestly, both of these teams, we lost to both of these teams on some fluke stuff.
Yep.
So I really don't like either of them. So I'm happy UCLA lost, but I'm also mad that Florida State won. I wish they would have just tied because they both suck. Honestly,
Bro, I'm so glad you're on the pod. You're the best.
I know, bro. We were so excited to have you on here, and I know the community is gonna be wild. There's gonna be big numbers for this one because you're a
Mhm.
famous dude in here, JPEG.
Mhm.
You are one famous man.
It adds some
man.
heat, you know. We try to come so neutral, and JPIC's like, nah, fuck all that. These teams suck. They should have tied. I don't care about it. That's great.
I'm just keeping it real.
No,
Like
that's great, bro. That's great.
the only person on UCLA who I know, I'm lying. He got like two guys. Kenzo, I ain't gonna lie. Kenzo the only DB that I went against. I tip my hat to
Yeah.
because he's the only one that can admit that he got torched. And nobody
Mhm.
else want to admit that. Nobody else want to admit that.
Mhm.
Just know when you face Big Four, it's gonna be four or more.
Pick, you're the
I love
best.
that.
You're the best. Okay,
I love
AB,
that.
AB, what are what are your thoughts on this one? Do you think Florida State? You know, we talked about them last week. Obviously, they've been performing a lot better after their very rough start. Do you feel like this is just a par for the course? Are you surprised at this result, or is this kind of what you expected to happen when you saw the schedule for week 6?
I think anything less than this at this point with how they're playing would have been upsetting.
Yeah.
Because, like Jay said, UCLA did come almost beat us, but UCLA sucks.
I mean,
No
I mean,
sugarcoating it.
whew. You
It's
guys, you
just
guys are
For
trying
this
to
unfortunate.
get some
episode,
heat on the pod this week. I swear to God, I'm gonna have to deal with all these
this
people.
episode, y'all can't sugarcoat nothing.
Uh
But
huh.
In
Florida
this episode, y'all
State,
can't
though,
sugarcoat nothing.
but Florida State's riding their streaks, like you said. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, like I say every week, we just got to keep rolling with them
Yeah.
because otherwise, what are we going to do? Watch this team end up the season with 2 or 3
Right.
losses and then just be like, but they, but screw them, forget them. We'll still talk about teams that are like Cincinnati or whatnot and not give Florida State their due type deal. Utah and Florida
They about to
State
lose
now.
next week.
Utah and Florida, oh, what, against us?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I hope so. But I'm not. I hope so. But that'll be a great game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, I think it's just simple. Like Jay said, UCLA is not good. They can be somewhat good, but they're just not good for whatever reason. And Florida State's just riding high right now. So
Yep.
if it ends this week, it ends this week. Like I always say, if it ends next week, it ends next week. If it never ends, then congratulations to those boys because they fought hard to get back to where they are.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I agree with basically every single point you said. I don't really have more to touch on that for this game specifically, and that will bring us to our final segment, where we are going to be switching the tone up a bit. Again, this is recorded on Father's Day Sunday night, so we do not have the schedule yet as far as exactly who's playing when on what day. But as it is in the booth, we like to end with some spice, as you guys all know from our first 2 episodes. So I want everyone to talk about what they're looking forward to most coming into Week 7. If there's any specific team or specific matchup you guys are trying to find, I will lead us off. Honestly, for me, I think the biggest game going into this week is going to be Notre Dame, Georgia. I know we talked on it a bit earlier, and I'm not, again, I promise I'm not just saying it because J-Pick's on here. If he wasn't, I would have said the same thing. I do think that's a massive game because Notre Dame's record really does not reflect their ability, and I think Georgia's going to continue to get tested and see if they belong in that number 2 spot. And I think that should be a game that everybody needs to tune into because we could, I genuinely think we could see a big upset in that one. So that's one I'm looking forward to the most. AB, I'm going to pass it to you. What are you most looking forward to here in Week 7?
I'm excited, and I know people are gonna get weird at me. They're gonna say that I'm kissing up this week, but I swear that's not the case. It just really was. I was impressed last week. I'm excited to see Utah again this week. I want to see if they keep doing that. I agree with what Jay said and about not necessarily being able to find your identity or whatnot against Cincinnati. And so when they're gonna come out here this week now and play an entirely different team, because I mean, unless they're playing the 3 of you guys, they have a team that is still putting up at least higher numbers in a little bit of a way. And so that'll be a good game to watch, whatever that ends up being. And then I think just my game, because like I said, we're going to be either dethroning Florida State or we're just going to be back at 0-0, and so that's all I gotta say about that.
Perfect. I can't wait to see how your game goes as well. And of course, J-Pick, you might be siding with me here, but I just still gotta ask, what are you looking forward to most this week here in Week 7?
Personally, me, I'm looking forward to Timbers. That's all I'm saying right now. But game wise, I'm gonna agree with AB. I want to see what my Utah guys doing. I also want to see what AB them do, of course, and I want to see what's they face, the old people, Ole Miss. I want to
Oh
see if
yeah,
they do good again next week.
yeah.
But I'm gonna torch Timbers if my quarterback do right. So
Whew, you heard it here, baby. We got Big Four saying he about to torch Tim Ricks, man. I can't wait for that
Yeah,
matchup. I
but we
can't wait
knew
for that
that.
game. We did.
We know
We did.
we know this.
Uh-huh. We love the confidence, bro. That's key. That's gonna feed to the team for sure. But yeah, man, I'm super excited for Week 7. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in. I know this is running a little long, but that's just because we've been having a great time once again this week. So I'm gonna say my last parting word. We'll pass it to J Pick, we'll pass it to AB, and then we'll be out of here. So I just want to say big shout out, of course, J Pickens, for being on the pod with us today. Absolute pleasure. It was great having you. Thank you
Yes.
everyone for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great Tuesday night. And Jay, I'll let you get in your last comments here. You can shout out anybody you want, and then we'll pass it to AB for closing comments.
I appreciate y'all boys for having me on here, man. I've been trying to get on here. I should have been on here last week, but had complication. I'm about to go back to the field house. But Tim Ricks, you on my wall.
Yeah, man.
Alrighty.
That's all I gotta say.
Alrighty. And then this is your boy Austin. Tune in next week for Nas Calhoun, everybody. We're gonna start scheduling these a little bit in advance, so we're gonna have your next guest for you each Tuesday when you guys hear this at the end of the podcast. And so tune in next week for Nas Calhoun. Other than that, you guys have been great. Shout out to J Pick. I know J Pick, like I said, you're a big man in here, so it's an honor to have you on here and as early as we have you too. And we look forward to hearing from you in here definitely in the future. But as far as everything else goes, this is your boy Austin Briley. It's been John Smith and Jay Pickens. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. We'll catch y'all later on next Tuesday. All right, bye-bye.